Do you have any idea what it would feel like to catch a world record trout on a fly rod? And do you think you have a better chance catching a world record trout or a giant trout in Montana, Alaska, Colorado? Where do you think is the best state to have a shot at a giant trout? If you stick around to the end, I'm going to share the number one spot where you can have a legitimate shot at a giant world record trout. Plus, we're going to have 10 other states that are on our top list, and we're going to find out whether they are a bucket list destination or truly a bust, and maybe you should avoid them this year. But before we jump into the video this week, I just wanted to announce the winner from last time we had our video out there, and I'm going to give a shout out to Eric Grimlin 4200. Eric Grimlin 4200, you are the winner of Wet Fly Swing Pro. If you check in with me, Dave at wetflyswing.com, I'll get you access to that. That's where we're building trips together, and we're getting a bunch of good stuff going on there in the community. So Eric, congrats. And if you want a chance today, just comment today. Any comment today will get you a shot to get our winning, our next prize pack this week, and you check in there. Also want to remind you that this video today is based on a drifthook.com blog post, the top 25 places to travel to in the United States. And if you get a chance, you can check in with Drifthook right now. They've got amazing flies, everything going on there. So we're going to take just the top 10 out of that 25 list today, and we are going to show you if it's a bust or a bucket list trip. Here we go. Number 10, Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Is this a bucket list or a bust destination? And what we know is it depends on what you're looking for. If you love fishing scenic rivers and year-round access, it's definitely a bucket list spot. The Roaring Fork, the Colorado are incredible trout fishing, and the gold medal waters mean there's going to be giant browns and rainbows here. Plus, they have hot springs, which are a bonus. However, if you're looking for total solitude, they can get crowded in peak season, and also runoff is kind of rough. It can be in the springtime. So the verdict here on this one is it's mostly a bucket list. We're going to call this a bucket list destination. And the bonus tip here is the frying pan produces huge trout with a steady diet of mysis shrimp. And your local tip is to use those mysis shrimp for monster rainbows at the base of Rudy Dam. All right, we're going to jump into number 9, Mountain Home, Arkansas. Is this a bucket list destination or is this a bust? So if you're into giant browns, endless trout water, and a laid-back town, Mountain Home delivers for sure. The White River, the North Fork, we're going to be heading out to these legendary waters as well. The Shoals Dam, the Bull Shoals Dam, is a tailwater and creates ideal conditions for year-round trout fishing. There's also a great mix of wade fishing opportunities and all sorts of good stuff there. So why is it a bucket list? Brown trout, White River browns, year-round fishing, variety, the small town vibe is good. Potential downsides, the water releases, again, on all these tailwaters. That could be a big thing, and it can get busy. So again, it's obviously a popular place. Overall, big trout and classic tailwaters are on the radar, makes Mountain Home a final destination and 100% bucket list. Let's stamp it. Local tip here is bring streamers, not only the streamer game, but streamers at night for trophy browns, so nighttime fishing. Now we're going to jump into number 8, Roscoe, New York, Trout Town, USA. Is this a bucket list or a bust destination? Roscoe is steeped in fly fishing history and sits in the heart of the Catskills, the birthplace of American fly fishing. If you love classic fly fishing, legendary rivers, and a deep culture, Roscoe is a must-visit destination. Why is it a bucket list destination? Historic waters, the Beaver Kill, the Willow Weemock. It's a dry fly paradise. The fishing culture is amazing, scenic, and accessible. Definitely lots of accessibility. Potential downsides to this include it's highly technical fishing, so this isn't easy. They can be picky, matching the hatch presentation. And again, crowds are a big thing here. Water levels can also fluctuate, and they can get quite low in the summertime. So the final call here is the verdict. This is a bucket list for history buffs and technical anglers for sure. And if you love classic fly fishing, challenging trout water and history, Roscoe is a must destination for you. But if you prefer big fish, solitude, or easier fishing, you might find it a little overhyped. So we're going to call this a verdict is going to be a bucket list with a little asterisk next to it. Local tip here: traditional Catskill style dries, Adams, etc. still work here amazingly well. So if you want to fish traditional style dries, this is the place to go. All right, number 7, the South Holston River in Tennessee. Is this a bucket list or a bust? Well, if you're in for wild trophy-sized brown trout, epic hatches, then you will be excited because the South Holston River, the Soho, belongs on your list for sure. The tailwaters in eastern Tennessee are known for big fish, prolific bugs, and year-round action. And so, again, why is this a bucket list destination? Brown trouts everywhere, crazy, insane hatches. The conditions are very consistent, and there are wade and float options here. So, potential downsides on this: water fluctuations, dam releases. It's no secret, so there's going to be lots of pressure here as well, and it's technical. So, all these places you're starting to get that picture that are bucket list destinations are also really technical. So, it's not like you're going to catch a ton of fish here. So the verdict here is it still is an absolute bucket list. And if you love dry fly, trophy browns, classic tailwaters, this is a must-have. Local tip: use size 16s through 18 sulfur dries in the late afternoons for browns. There you go, sulfur dries. All right, number 6, we're heading up north to Michigan. We're heading up to Grayling, Michigan. Is this a bucket list or bust destination? Grayling is in the heart of Michigan's fly fishing heritage, home to the legendary Au River and a deep connection to the sport's past. If you appreciate classic dry fly fishing, rich history, and pristine rivers, then this is definitely worth a visit. But if you're chasing trophy trout or easy action, this might leave you a little wanting of some. So why it's a bucket list trip? So it's historic waters, perfect for small stream anglers. The hex hatch is magic. The legendary hex hatch begins in June and July, is huge for nocturnal browns. And fishing culture, again, the Au has it. But potential bust factors: it's not a trophy trout fishery, so the majority of trout are small. There's some big ones lurking in holes, very technical. There's some seasonal limitations as well. Spring, summer are prime, but winter is tough, and crowds in peak season. So final call: if you love history and tradition, then this is a must-have. But if you're into big fish or easy action, you might feel a little overwhelmed at this location. So we're going to call this a half and half bucket list trip. Local tip: the hex hatch, as we mentioned, great for nocturnal browns. All right, if you get a chance, please click that like, comment, bell, click the bell, subscribe if you are loving this content. If you want to hear the next 5 and hear more of what we got going, you can do that right now, and we will get you that going. All right, let's check in with the other half of this. State College, Pennsylvania. We've heard a lot about State College, Pennsylvania. Is this actually a bucket list or a bust? State College actually sits in the heart of Pennsylvania's limestone trout country, making it a must-fish destination. Technical trout fishing. The hatches are unbelievable. Spring-fed creek. Lots of selective trout. So why is this a bucket list? It's world-class trout stream. The Penns Creek, we've heard about the Spring Creek, all these famous PA streams. It's a bug factory, sulfurs, green drakes, blueing dolls. It's got all the hatches, wild browns, and technical fishing if you're into that. Plus, it's got year-round fishing, which is huge. Potential bust factors: it's not a numbers game. Again, you're going to be working for fish here. You can get some big fish, but you're going to work for them. Highly technical. The crowds during hatch season can get pretty pressured, and also access can be a little bit tricky. Private waters and all that, so that makes it a little bit of a bust. But what is the verdict here? If you love technical fly fishing, match the hatch challenges, and limestone spring creeks, this is a bucket list must. But if you prefer easy, big stocked fish or solitude, you might feel a little overwhelmed. We're going to stamp this one as a bucket list trip with that highlight as well. Local tip here is to use small beadhead nymphs in size 18 to 20s with 6X tippet for spooky browns. So 18s and 20 beadhead nymphs are killer. All right, number 4, Pyramid Lake, Nevada. We're getting close to the number 1 top spot that we're looking for. This is going to be the number 1 place that you need to go to if you want to catch a giant trophy trout. And we are number 4, Pyramid Lake. Is this a bucket list or a bust? If you want massive prehistoric Lahontan cutthroat trout, Pyramid Lake can be an absolute must. This is a high desert area. There's big Lahontan cutthroats, like we said, and there's 20-pound fish in this lake. It's in the middle of nowhere, which is cool. So some of the bucket list factors are: giant Lahontan cutthroat trout, trophy fish are common, double-digit pounders happen regularly. It's got a one-of-a-kind fishing experience. Where else can you do this in the Nevada desert? Seasonal action, that's good. Winter, spring, you can fish it throughout the year. And streamers and the indicator game can be fun. Potential bust factors: winters are cold, the wind can be brutal, and fishing can be hit or miss out here. So you're not guaranteed to get action. So verdict on this one: if you love big fish, unique fisheries, and the bucket list, this is definitely on your bucket list. Pyramid Lake is a must, but be ready. Unpredictability, conditions, and possibly slower days can impact your trip. We're gonna stamp this as a bucket list for sure. And the local tip here is to use large streamers or balanced leeches under indicators for the best shot at a giant cutthroat. So there you go, balanced leech. the indicators. That's perfect. All right, the Missouri River, Montana, where we're going this year. The Missouri, is this going to be a bucket list or a bus trip for us? If you love big trout, endless hatches, technical, rewarding fishing, the Big Mo, the Missouri is a must destination. The legendary tailwater stretching from Holter Dam through Craig. Amazing. We've had podcast episodes on this place. There's all sorts of great average size fish, or 18 to 20 inches. 4,000, we've heard these numbers, 4,000 up to 8,000 fish per mile. Dry fly paradise, PMDs, caddis, some of the best hatches out there. Consistent flows, again, fish year round. If you get good conditions in the wintertime, even right now, things can be on. Perfect for all anglers, nymphing, throwing dries, you name it, you can get into fish. And we're going to be doing a school out here this year, so stay tuned for that. Potential downsides are it can be highly technical. Trout can be selective, and this is something where sometimes it might be good to have a guide. The wind can also be brutal here, why you'll see a lot of those low-profile boats out there. The wind can be brutal, and crowds in peak season, as always. That's why it's good to find a way and get in the drift boat. Sometimes that can help you get away from the crowds. Final call on this one. Missouri, definitely, it's a 100% bucket list trip. It's technical fishing, occasional crowds, but if you can stand some of that for, maybe at some of the boat ramps, the reward will be huge for you. Local tip, swing soft tackles in the morning, then twitch PMD dry flies in the afternoon. Love that. Swing soft tackles. Don't forget that. Swing soft tackles in the morning and dry flies in the afternoon. All right, we're getting close. Two more. Henry's Fork, Idaho. Is this a bucket list or a bust? We've heard tons about the Henry's Fork. So on this one, if you're into serious technical dry fly fishing, wild trout, legendary hatches, just the history, then this is a must bucket list destination. The iconic river, they call it this graduate school of fly fishing, big smart trout, big hatches, variety of water types. So why is it a bucket list? We mentioned it. The Railroad Ranch is huge. It's technical, insane hatches. It's got everything. It's got big wild trout. It's got diversity of options. You can nymph it. You can fish dry, streamers, everything. It's scenic and remote. Potential downsides on this one, it's not a numbers game. So definitely if you're into numbers, this might not be the best place for you. It's highly technical. So you're going to need some skill, especially on some of these areas like the Railroad Ranch section. And it can get crowded. So if you're into the crowd, if you're not into the crowds, this might be a little potential verdict on your thing here today. But for patient or skilled anglers, we do say this is a bucket list destination for sure. And local tip for the Railroad Ranch, be ready for spooky trout. Use long leaders, 12 to 15 foot leaders, and size 18s to 22 flies. All right. Drum roll, please. Here we go. The number one best fishing destination to catch a giant trophy trout is where? Bucket list trip, Bristol Bay, Alaska. Is it a bucket list? Yes, this is our bucket list, and this is the largest. This is your one chance. All these places, there's lots of big fish, but this is probably your one best chance to get a giant fish. And that's because Bristol Bay is known. It's remote. It's untouched. It's got fish that grow big because they're eating flesh, they're eating eggs, they're getting big. So why is it a bucket list fish? It's world-class trout fishery and salmon, massive. It's got all 5 species, all the salmon, untouched remote wilderness, as we said, legendary rivers, the Naknek, the Nushagak, Togiak, and many others are all in here. We're going to be hitting the Togiak this year. Epic dry fly and streamer action, so trophy rainbows can crush mouse patterns and aggressively hit swinging streamers. Peak salmon runs, millions of sockeye kings and silvers migrate here. The trout are gorging on these fish. That's why they're getting so big, and that's why you have a chance at getting these fish, which are trout, but they look like steelhead and bigger. Conservation success story, protected pebble mine development, Bristol Bay. We got to throw that one in there because that's also awesome. Potential downsides, it's expensive and remote. So again, this is definitely a downside. These trips are not as cheap as lower 48. You got to get up sometimes to a lodge. We're going to Togiak. The weather can be brutal as well. Rain, wind, cold, challenges, everything can affect your fishing conditions. Short season, prime time is June through September, but you're not going to be fishing throughout the year. So final call on this one. Of course, this is a bucket list. There are a few downsides to it, but this is 100% bucket list. And this is our number one best destination to go catch a trophy world record trout. You can take a look at the video here of what the current trophy is right now. But why is this best in Alaska? Again, we've said it, all these great opportunities. And that's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed these 10 places to catch trout. I hope you are interested in reading the full article. You can head over to drifthook.com. We'll have a link down below, drifthook.com, where you can get the other 14 places that weren't on this list that are also included there. If you want to listen to the podcast with everything we discussed here, you can also check that out, Wet Fly Swing Podcast. And like we said, if you want to get a chance to win access to Wet Fly Swing Pro, leave a comment down below, and you'll get a full access for a full year, a bunch of trips, benefits, and we're traveling around. So please, if you get a chance, if you haven't already, subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this one. We will see you, and we'll look forward to choosing a winner next week, and we'll talk about that next bucket list destination.